How do you think humans will become extinct? Knowing us, it will be the hard way. Sigh. Unzips. Pulls out spaghetti. I do not regret it. Knees weak, arms is heavy. There's an army of pasta on my shirt already. Terminal stupidity. The way things are going the last couple of years, this seems the only right answer. Social media is mostly to blame. Terminal stupidity is king there. You know what they say, the empty can rattles the most. And Jesus Christ, is it loud? No, we've been total idiots far longer than social media or the internet. It's just more blatant now. It's not even the problem of it being blatant as much as idiots now connect with like-minded idiots and amplify their stupidity. The idiots are rallying and it scares the fuck out of me. This one idiot is not scary, but a large group of idiots working in unison is what we need to be afraid of. As a long-term optimist, my favorite is evolution. As we expand out into space through the eons, eventually we diverge and evolve into new species, and what we consider human is extinct. You can also view RE as a version of evolution and count that as well, but I personally think we can coexist with an IE we create. That sounds the most likely to me. Every other post here suggests something that would kill most people, but certainly not all. The only other thing I would imagine is a double whammy of sorts. Like a global pandemic of a very deadly virus during climate change runaway and then hit by an asteroid. Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. That moon seems awfully close now that I think about it. That's no moon, it's a space station. Personally, I think Homo sapiens will exist in some way for the rest of Earth's timeline. Eventually modern society will either collapse or transcend. If it collapses, we will revert back, and once again be subject to natural selection. At that point, distance would separate populations and evolution would cause a divergence. Some humans would live in the forest and adapt with sharper ears. Some humans would become shorter cave dwellers and utilize the resources of the earth. Some humans would become hateful pillagers and raiders that exist to take resources from other races. Some humans would stay in temperate climates and remain relatively the same. I could see some people finding a small pocket of abundant resources. They wouldn't have a care in the world among their beautiful rolling hillsides. So Lord of the Rings then? XAE Ligature A12 will throw a tantrum at age 10 and use the secret Tesla military base on Mars to nuke the fuck out of all of us. Such a unique name. He must be the only person in the world with it, though it's a little elongated. By irreparably damaging our biosphere. Takes a biosphere to evolve and sustain a complex living organism like us. Destroy that and we probably won't last long. The Rapa Nui of Easter Island used to have a thriving civilization. They survived contact with the Europeans, and even had a golden age of sorts, where life was bountiful enough to devote resources to monument building. However, they engaged in rapid deforestation and careless exhaustion of resources with no plan or even awareness of the consequences, until too late. They wiped the island clean of trees, which caused erosion and loss of arable soil, loss of food, and eventually societal conflict and civil war. The remnants of their shattered society were easy pickings for slavers from Peru who almost completely exterminated them. What happened in Easter Island is going to happen to us. As big as it is, the Earth isn't an unlimited wellspring of resources and we are rapidly reaching the point of no return. I agree that our extinction may likely have to do with environmental change, but given the current situation, I'd say we'll either kill each other for resources due to overpopulation or, which by now I think is more likely, a pandemic worse than the coronavirus will collapse health and economic systems throughout the world, which will lead to supply shortages and maybe to war. Yes, that is more likely. We already saw how a pandemic that kills 1% of infected people can cause major social unrest and disorder. Just think of it if it killed 40% or 60% of people. Everything will revolve into chaos very quickly. You would be shooting people trying to get your food, just like in the movies. Because most of humanity is made up of disgusting, dumb animals. It's entirely possible that humans are the end game of complex biological organisms. A computer does not need a biosphere to evolve and exist. In fact, it functions better in a cold vacuum. Vacuums are actually terrible conductors of heat, so depending on the computer, that may not be entirely true. Totally agree. It seems obvious to me that AI will end human existence, just like a sci-fi trope. Humans may end human existence with AI, just like humans may do it with nuclear weapons. But it won't be the AI that does it on their own. Meteor or a virus. I don't know why this has so less upvotes, but this could actually be so damn true. Not everything ends in a cool or stupid way, because a meteor is not an asteroid. Yes, it is. Once an asteroid enters the atmosphere, it becomes a meteor. Same with a comet. Now asteroids can still be asteroids once they enter the atmosphere if they're large enough. Meteors are a smaller version that usually burn up into dust. Nothing. A meteorite is when a meteor or small space rock survives the atmosphere and then becomes meteorite once it lands on Earth. Meteor? Yes. Virus? Number. There's not a single virus that could even be biologically engineered that could wipe out the entirety of the human race. We can never land on the moon, some guy before 1969. It's a question of practicality. A virus is unlikely to kill everyone because once it killed enough, there's too few left to spread it. That's the problem. It has to have an exact balance of incubation time, virality, and lethality. It's gotta be war. We literally have a weapon that can wipe out an entire country. Now multiply the amount of that weapon by thousands. One day countries and leaders will face a breaking point through clashing ideologies, and before we even knew it, we already fucked ourselves over. The breaking point will be climate related. One of too many refugees. People vote extremists, lunatics with loose trigger fingers. They start a war to support the economy. Some battle over a critical water source escalates. Climate protesters turn violent. Civil war ensues. Foreign power steps in. It escalates. I think we will make a mistake. Something like, we send the majority of the population to another planet, but they crash. Or, we couldn't get to another planet in time. Humans make mistakes. It's about time we make a big one. It could even be machine error. In 1983, at the height of the Cold War, during Reagan's era, the USSR detected multiple incoming ICBM missiles allegedly launched by the US. Turns out the system mistook a particular alignment of sunlight for nukes. Had it not been for Stanislav Petrov, a USSR officer who decided against retaliation despite all evidence pointing towards an attack, we would have had full-blown nuclear war, and humanity may very well be extinct today. We'll probably damage the environment to a point where we can no longer live in it. In the last 100 years we've been burning through Earth's resources like we have another planet to move to. We act like colonizing terraforming Mars is an actual solution. FFS. We can't fix our own planet that is perfectly suited to our every need, so we're gonna travel to another planet, change it to suit our needs and keep that one in good shape without fucking it up. I don't want to clean my dirty house, so I'm gonna move to Antarctica, build a new house there and keep that one clean instead. Whoa, slow down there. No one is talking about keeping Mars clean. Absolutely, we will go extinct. Rising temperatures will eventually push many places around the Earth to be uninhabitable. Combine that with the decreased ability to grow grains at scale needed to sustain the over-bloated human population, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Eventually large wars will break out over the very scarce resources that the Earth is able to provide. It's called loss of habitat due to resource exhaustion. Many species experience it and it leads to their extinction, and humans are just another species. We made it through climate change after the Ice Age. I think some people will make it, but life will look nothing like it does now. I wonder if it's possible to forget everything we've learned in modern history. I always wonder if this has happened before. It has happened, but nothing like today's technology, depletion of resources, destruction of the environment, and the wars that will result from those things. I don't think humanity will ever get to a sci-fi future where we're exploring the stars and colonizing other planets. The resources on this planet are very finite and they will not last thousands of years at the rate we're using them. Even 10,000 years is less than a blink of an eye on a cosmic scale. I think the next 100, maybe 200 years are going to be the peak for our civilization, as the critical resources necessary for technological advancements dry up and environmental destruction creates refugees, migration, starvation on a global scale. We'll basically destroy ourselves and the resulting wars. We might not actually go extinct until many millennia after that, but civilization as we know it will be over. TLDR. Some form of intelligent existence will survive to the end of the universe. Somehow. The answer depends to your definition of humanity. I think there are a multitude of points one might not consider these people human anymore, while others would still consider them human. Humanity is going to colonize distant parts of our universe, and because of that distance, and lag in communication due to the speed of light, will cause our culture to separate. Our very biology will, over time, drift away from our cousins in other colonies or in our solar system. Eventually, the people of each colony will be so different from the ones of the other colonies, we will consider the other ones to be completely alien to us both biologically, not being able to reproduce between the two colonies without some genetic engineering, thus being a different species, psychologically, and culturally. Some would consider this already separate enough from humanity we know today that they would consider them not humans. Another option for some to consider people not human anymore is when a civilization abandons their biology altogether and decides to live more efficiently inside of a computer. Some would consider these simulated people not real, while others would. Personally, I still consider them humans even if their existence is purely digital. If you still consider them human, like I do, then the end of humanity, or at least, the end of civilization descendant from our own, would probably be a little bit after the last black hole dies out. The bigger a black hole, the slower it releases energy as Hawking radiation and loses its mass. And because the universe progressively gets colder, and computers can be more efficient at colder temperatures, it would stand to reason that gathering everything we can, at least the entirety of the Milky Way and Andromeda, into a supermassive black hole that will release the energy so slowly, we will be running our civilization at ultra slow speed to use that energy when we can do so most efficiently, which gives us a separate advantage when it comes to long distance communication. Because speed of light lag becomes unnoticeable when the millions of years that the light needs to travel will feel like a fraction of a second of subjective time. And that's even before considering time dilation near strong gravitational bodies. Eventually, the black hole will shrink, and start releasing energy at a higher rate, and by that point, the universe will be so cold that we can use that energy more efficiently, giving us an unimaginably long time to experience inside the simulation. As the black hole shrinks, we may decide at some point to feed it a little bit more mass to keep it alive for longer and get some more energy boost out of it, and slowly getting rid of non-essential systems, dropping them into the black hole gradually to slow its shrinkage. Eventually, the black hole will become so small, and release such enormous amounts of energy that we will be able to, within its last few microseconds, simulate trillions of years of subjective time. After that black hole disappeared, use any non-essential system and convert them to energy with the most efficient means you can, eventually shrinking the size of the mega computer into a miniature computer, and eventually sacrificing old memories, from the least important to more important, to convert them to energy. In the last moments of the simulation, we will have an intelligent creature wondering if it is the first intelligence in the history of existence, and later as we continue sacrificing parts of our computer for energy, the intelligence will decrease from human level, to dog level, to ant level, and to a simulation of a single cell life form, and eventually shut down, never to wake up again, until the very atoms fall apart in proton decay, disappearing to entropy, leaving no trace or evidence of anything having existed at all. I give it maximum a July collision of a Mentos truck and a Coca-Cola truck, all guys and girls turning gay, so this guy eats some bat soup. Like and subscribe or destruction of humanity will be your fault.